Tune in for some happiness. Tune in for some fun. Tune in late at night or tune in the sun. This is TFM. Get ready to rock. From AM to PM. Come on. Let's talk.
TFM 95.4.
Let's talk.
Live on TFM and the TFM Facebook page. This is the live feed of TTV. Let's talk.
Hello and welcome to The Outline. These are the top headlines from our newsroom today. Guidelines for providing services to Umrah performers issued. Guiding law to protect public fund in GCC countries reviewed. The Miniat Islands Natural Reserve to reopen for tourists. Expats allowed to own flats and offices in parts of Muscat. COVID cases in Iran rise while Iraq sees a decrease. South Korea to continue flu vaccination program despite suspected deaths. From IPL 2020, Mandeep Gill hand Kings 11 fifth straight win. In Portugal, Lewis Hamilton claims record-breaking 92nd Formula One win. These were the top headlines for the day. Let's see how the weather looks like in the Sultanate in our weather update.
I'm Antara Bose with your daily dose of weather, and we are standing outside the TFM studio in Al Quair. We're talking about climate change this week. Did you know that global temperatures have gone up by 1 degree Celsius over the past 100 years? Now, this might not seem like much to us, but it is having an impact on the planet. Currently, countries all over the world are trying to work towards the targets set out in the Paris Agreement, which say that the global rise in temperature should not exceed 2 degrees Celsius and preferably stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius. With that, let's step inside the studio and we'll talk a little bit more about weather. An alert has been issued by Oman Meteorology and Public Authority for Civil Aviation, indicating there will be poor visibility during fog. Apart from this, the rest of the Sultanate will see clear skies with the possibility of low-level clouds or fog patches over Al Wusta, South Al Sharqiya, Dhofar and parts of the Oman Sea coast. With that, let's take a look at what the weather will be like through all the governorates. Muscat will be sunny with temperatures between 29 degrees Celsius to 22 degrees Celsius. Musandam will be sunny with temperatures between 31 degrees Celsius to 23 degrees Celsius. North Al Batana will be sunny with temperatures between 30 to 22 degrees Celsius, and South Al Batana will also be sunny with temperatures between 30 to 22 degrees Celsius. Al Buremi will be sunny with temperatures between 32 to 20 degrees Celsius. Al Dahira will be sunny with temperatures between 32 to 20 degrees Celsius. Al Dakhliya will be sunny with temperatures between 32 to 19 degrees Celsius. North Al Sharqiya will be sunny with temperatures between 31 to 18 degrees Celsius. And South Al Sharqiya will also be sunny with temperatures between 29 to 19 degrees Celsius. Al Wusta will be cloudy with temperatures between 28 to 22 degrees Celsius, and Dhofar will be sunny with temperatures between 31 to 18 degrees Celsius.
Oman's largest online supermarket, now has no minimum order limit. From grocery to household items, Rafiq has everything that you want. Enjoy worry-free shopping with over 8,000 products to choose from and get it delivered straight to your doorstep. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Outline. Now, before we get into the details of the local stories of the day, let's see how the COVID-19 situation looks like in the Sultanate. The Ministry of Health officials has announced the registration of 13 new death cases due to coronavirus in the country. This has taken the total death toll to 1,203. The Ministry of Health officials has also extended their deepest condolences to the families of the deceased. Moreover, the Ministry of Health officials have also announced the registration of 466 new cases of coronavirus in the Sultanate today. The total cases in the Sultanate now stands at 113,820, including the recovery of 99,997, as well as the total deaths of 1,203. In fact, in the past 24 hours, the health officials have also registered 329 recoveries. The Ministry of Health officials has urged everyone to adhere to rules and regulations issued by the Supreme Committee and the Ministry of Health. Now from a local desk. The Ministry of Hajj and Umrah has issued guidelines for providing Umrah services abroad by licensed travel agents and Umrah companies outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. According to Saudi Arabia press agency, the ministry confirmed that the kingdom is honored to start receiving Umrah performers from outside the kingdom for the third phase of the gradual return of Umrah and visits starting from November 1st, 2020. The statement added that the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah is working in coordination with other concerned authorities to create a safe and facilitated environment for the visitors throughout their journey, and coordination has been made with the national carrier Saudi Airline to provide the necessary seat capacity according to the approved plan of precautionary measures and health protocols. The ministry stated that the protocols entitling Umrah include that the age group for Umrah performers from outside the kingdom should be from 18 to 50 years, according to the requirements of the Ministry of Health, and provision of a PCR examination certificate with a negative result proving that they are free from COVID-19, issued by a reliable laboratory in the country of the Umrah performer, provided that it does not exceed 72 hours from the time of taking the sample until the time of departure to the kingdom, and a prior reservation to perform Umrah and prayer in the Grand Mosque, visit the Prophet's Mosque, and pray at the Holy Rauda at the Prophet's Mosque in Medina, according to the controls and capacity approved by the application of Itmarna, and round-trip reservation is confirmed according to the approved program for each Umrah programmer. The statement also stated that the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah indicated that the mandatory components of the package of services for each Umrah performer include housing service, 3 days of health quarantine upon arrival to the kingdom, transportation service between ports and housing, comprehensive insurance service, and field services that include transportation between the Grand Mosque and housing, the miqat, and a guide for each group. The State Financial and Administrative Institution, known as SAI, took part in the 5th meeting of the Deputy Chairman, Assistants, or persons acting in their stead at the GCC Anti-Corruption and Integrity Protection Agencies. The meeting, which was convened through video conferencing, took place at the headquarters of the GCC Secretariat General in Riyadh on Monday. The meeting reviewed the guiding law to protect public fund in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, updating of the guiding code of conduct for the GCC Anti-Corruption and Integrity Protection Agencies, as well as discussion on the proposal about the GCC Award for Excellence in the field of integrity protection and anti-corruption. In addition to that, the meeting reviewed a proposal to conduct a joint GCC program for raising awareness and knowledge about promoting integrity and fighting corruption. Moreover, the meeting discussed updating guiding principles for knowledge exchange among GCC anti-corruption agencies. It is also reviewed the importance of educating the youth generation on the principles of integrity, promotion, and combating corruption. The next meeting, however, is scheduled to be held in November. The Tibiaan Islands Nature Reserve will open its doors to receive visitors starting from 1st November, the Environment Authority announced. A statement issued online by the Environment Authority said, starting from 1st November, the Tibiaan Islands Nature Reserve will open its doors to receive visitors from all over the world and citizens, and this period will extend until the end of April 2021. You can apply for a permit to visit the reserve through the following website on Environment Authorities known as meca.gov.om. Now, expats who have stayed for more than 2 years in the Sultanate are now allowed to own flats and offices in Muscat, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning has said lately. This was made possible due to a ministerial resolution easing controls on selling residential real estate units and for lands allocated towards residential and commercial uses in some parts of the capital region. The decision came after the ministry carried out studies with organizations involved in the country's real estate market with the aim of stimulating the property sector in the country, which will help promote economic diversification and increase streams of revenue. To know more details about this new rule and the ministerial resolution that has been issued by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning, we have a very special guest joining today who's going to tell all the details that one needs to know. So let's welcome Mr. Fahad Al Ismaili, who's the CEO of Tibiaan Properties. Thank you so much, Mr. Fahad, for joining us in today's episode.
Thank you very much for inviting me to take part of this indeed very special topic, which I think matters to a lot of people who are residing in Oman.
Right. So, Mr. Fahad, starting with the topic, what do you think about the ease in this decision that has been issued last week?
This ministerial decision number 357 over 2020, which has been issued by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning nearly 10 days ago, it was a so long-awaited rule to be developed and to be practiced here in the local market of real estate in Oman. I think the ease of the regulation is going to help diversifying the economy. It will help also in attracting foreign investments, and also it will help in lowering the migration of investments outside Oman and creating more appetite for the real estate investment in Oman. The rule came out as a usufruct right. It's not a freehold, but it contains many restrictions and also many things which are making it more regulated. And it's a new rule, and it's a new step towards foreign investment in Oman and real estate. Therefore, the government is taking it very mildly, maybe in the beginning, and hopefully it will develop further as we see results in the near future.
Right, Mr. Fahad. So with this rule, what kind of property can now be owned by the expatriate living in the Sultanate?
Yeah, any expat who has completed 2 years of residency in Oman can apply to buy in any of those eligible units. These units are units which are in selected areas and selected zones. I mean, the ministry, when they have allocated those zones, they made sure that it doesn't have any impact on the demographical aspects of the community and also the national communities whom are living in purely residential areas, because that is very important also to have a very good mixed urban planning. Therefore, the eligible zones are already selected and allocated, and the units are restricted in the beginning to residential units, which are not less than 2-bedroom apartments. They should be 2-bedroom apartments and more, and in high-rise building or multi-story building, which are containing not less than 4 stories of residential units.
I was just going to ask you in detail about this plan, Mr. Fahad, that what kind of property and what are the restrictions. I'm so glad you answered to that question. Now, talking about the eligible zones you just mentioned, what are these eligible zones? Like what I'm understanding that people, I mean the expatriates living in Muscat, are not free to hold or own any property in the whole capital. There are. You just mentioned there are eligible zones. Could you tell us what eligible zones you're talking about?
Well, just to correct the statement a little bit, or the question a little bit, expatriates and non-Omanis, they can own real estate even previously, before this ministerial decision came out, in the ITC projects, the integrated tourism projects. And over there, they're getting a freehold status. It is not a usufruct beneficiary agreement. It is a freehold status where they are allowed also to get residency visa to live in Oman with regards to their real estate investment. Now, the recent ministerial decision is a usufruct beneficiary agreement, which extends to 50 years and could be extended further to 99 years. And this do not make the foreign investor eligible to obtain a residency visa for himself and his family yet. But maybe as things develops further and it matures more, I think maybe some other factors will be introduced into this decision. The locations and the zones which are allocated right now, they are all mentioned in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning pages in the official social media pages of the ministry. I advise everyone to always refer to those genuine information from the ministry account.
Right. Mr. Fahad, thank you for the clarification. Now, you're saying that previously, of course, expats could own property in the ITC zones. During that time, were they eligible for the residency permit you just mentioned? Were they allowed previously for the residency permit? Because you're saying, as of now, there has been no rule stating about the residency permit. Am I correct?
Yes, I mean the freehold projects which are located in the ITC zones, the integrated tourism complexes. Those units in these projects grant the expat or the foreign investor a residency visa in Oman for the purchase of their real estate unit, and that residency visa also applies to themselves and their first grade family members. The usufruct beneficiary law, which came out recently, in the beginning, right now, the law did not allow residency visa with the beneficiary contract, which is obtained or which is bought by the expat or the foreign investor.
Okay, perfect. So in terms like if, for example, I am planning to own a flat here, hopefully, inshallah, will I be getting the residency for now besides my employment residency?
If you're buying in the ITC, you are allowed to get a residency visa. But if you're going to buy in the usufruct beneficiary properties, then you're not allowed at the moment. But
Okay.
as I said, the ministry has kept that door open and that room available maybe for the future.
Right.
Also, it is very important to mention that the buildings and the properties which expats are allowed to buy on usufruct beneficiary agreements, the buildings has to be fully completed, and the deedship of every unit should be complete, distributed and subdivided already. And of course, prior to deciding to buy, they should obtain also an NOC from the Ministry of Housing to buy or to enter into this user-fract agreement. Now, every building, only 40% of every building is allowed for foreign investment. And out of that 40% of every building, only 20% of that 40% is allowed for one nationality.
Okay, I got that. So, Mr. Fahad, help me understand, like, if I'm getting a property and I'm still under this law and I don't have a residency, how do I go about, exiting and entering to the Sultanate? Will there be a letter issued under my name that this person has this property here, so she can be allowed to leave and depart without any visa?
As I said, the law stated that whoever wants to buy in these user-fract beneficiary agreements should be a resident in Oman for not less than 2 years. So whoever it is should be a resident of in Oman. That is the first step towards opening the door in order to be eligible to buy a unit in those properties. Now, let's say, for example, also the law allowed people who were affected by their jobs or resigned or lost their job or decided to leave the country because the law do not permit them to resell their unit until 4 years is passed. Therefore, they can always ask for an exemption from the ministry, and the Minister of Housing and Urban Planning will be the one to issue that exemption if the expat has lost his job or decided to leave the country. Therefore, he can resell his unit in the market. And of course, as I said, this purchase on a user-fract beneficiary agreement is not related to obtaining a visa. So there is no connection between buying here in the user-fract beneficiary agreement and the visa status.
Right. Mr. Fahad, we have a question from one of our viewers right now. He's asking if you could elaborate on the 20% occupancy by a single nationality.
Yeah, it is not an occupancy, it is ownership or beneficiary ownership. Let's say, for example, if a building contains 100 apartments, therefore 40% of that 100 apartments could be sold to non-Omani or non-GCC nationals. So that is 40 apartments. Now, out of that 40 apartments, 20% only could be sold to a single nationality. So 8 units only can go to single nationality according to this example.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question, Mr. Fahad, we have your way right now, is about the payment plan and the financing if Tibiaan Properties is offering any kind of ease in terms of buying a property.
Well, at the moment, Tibiaan Properties do not have any user-fract beneficiary products, but hopefully maybe we will be introducing some in the future. At the moment, we do have a purely freehold project at Muscat Hills. It's called the Bolivar Tower, and we are offering very good rates and also mode of payments. And we are also going to introduce and launch during the November next month a very massive offers on this project in particular. And this project also allows any nationality to buy in any percentages, and it also makes it eligible for anyone who buys to obtain a residency status for himself and his first-grade family.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fahad, for answering those questions. We'll be taking more questions in between, but I'll just continue with my questions. Now, besides this 2 years of being in the Sultanate, besides the residency and the number of rooms that you mentioned, are there any other requirements to purchase a flat here in the Muscat?
Well, see, the person who wants to buy an apartment will definitely need to apply for an NOC from Ministry of Housing. Now that NOC checklist is something to do with the ministry, and yeah, I'm sure there will be some sort of screening and some sort of due diligence on the history of the person who wants to buy. And I think yeah, that will be the major step after obtaining that NOC. The investor can complete continuing to purchase the unit. However, I highly recommend and I will advise all investors to always seek solid and authentic information and news from the real source, which is Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning. At the same time, they should always read the articles and do not jump into any deals which are very, very attractive just because they are attractive. They should always make sure that everything is genuine, everything is reliable, and everything is according to the books.
Mr. Fahad, we have one more question from a viewer named Sayed Feroz. He's asking that, will these units can be rented if owner wanted? So I believe he thinks like if an expat can purchase the property, can he further rent it out?
Well, in the of course, in the freehold, you can always rent it out immediately. In the usufruct beneficiary agreement, the purchaser cannot resell or rent it out until 4 years is passed. So after 4 years from the time of purchase, you can rent it out or you can resell.
Okay, so the time period is of 4 years.
It's a 4 years, yes. And also, there is a cap where, or a minimum ticket size of 45,000 riyals per unit in Muscat and 35,000 riyals per unit outside Muscat.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Fahad. Now, the ministry has also said that the flat owners need to sell their homes before leaving the country. If so, if that is the case, then how can one go about doing it?
Well, as I said, I don't recall the article. Do you have the article number of this?
I don't have the article number, unfortunately, right now with me.
Yeah,
but
I don't recall it. But anyways, as we said, that the ownership of the usufruct beneficiary agreement is not related to the visa. So when someone leaves the country, definitely, if someone leaves the country for good, they will have to cancel their visa while leaving. So how can they keep the property without so? And if 4 years has passed, then they can easily resell it in the market. And as I said, if anyone had to leave the country for any circumstance, if he lost his job, if he had to leave the country for any other reason, he can always ask for an exemption from the Ministry of Housing, and Ministry of Housing will look into that and will give him an exemption to sell the unit before the end of the 4 years.
Okay, I think we're getting a lot of questions asking about the visa, the type of visa, Mr. Fahad. There is another question from Mark. He's asking, what visa can you give to expat once expat buy a property? So I think, like you just mentioned, there are two categories, right? One is ITC, the freehold, where you get the residency, and the other one, that the new decision that came in, the visa hasn't been really put it out it hasn't been penned out whether you're getting residency or not. So if I'm not wrong, this is the answer to his question. I'm answering on your behalf now.
Yeah, but you're completely right. And just to add to that, when you buy a property in a freehold ITC project, the visa is for yourself and your first grade family members. So basically, you get visa for the family, first grade.
Okay, perfect. Okay, So now talking about Tibiaan Properties, we know Tibiaan Properties has amazing projects in the Sultanate. What properties are ready for the expats right now to get ownership of?
Well, we have ready, and we just completed 2 months ago, and handing over already was completed to some buyers, and people started living in the Bolivar Tower at Muscat Hills. The Bolivar Tower at Muscat Hills is an ITC project that gives a freehold ownership and also a residency status. It contains 176 apartments. The project is built on very high-end grade. It has all the amenities that you can think about: swimming pool, basement parkings, gymnasium. It is located on the entrance of the boulevard at Muscat Hills, where nice coffee shops are there, and it's purely a very quiet and nice lifestyle destination. And the most important part, that it is a completely freehold. You can rent it out. It could be an investment purchase. You can live in it. You can resale and make some money by making advantage of our offer, which we are going to launch it within a week, inshallah.
I think, Mr. Fahad, we have to come down to this project to show our viewers what exactly you're talking about, so they get a first-hand experience, and this way they can actually decide, investing into this property as well.
You're most welcome, and we would like to host you there, of course, by taking all the distance and social distancing and the healthcare measures, inshallah.
Yes,
but you're most
absolutely.
welcome, and
Thank you so much, Mr. Fahad. So, now talking about this rule, the relaxation that has been issued through this ministerial decision, do you think it's going to have a positive impact on the economy of the Sultanate and is actually going to boost the real estate sector?
Yes, I mean, this rule is, or this decision is very beautiful, and it's going to support the real estate sector in Oman, and it's going to increase the opportunities also for developers to have a bigger portion of the market, and also to cater into a larger scale of the audience. However, as I said, the rule is still on its maybe testing mode. We will be more than happy to receive quarterly or some sort of every period reports and statistics from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning to understand the amount of appetite which is there in the market, how many units are sold or bought by expatriates every quarter, let's say, for example. I think also there'll be huge opportunities for local Omani SMEs to also introduce some of the services of marketing, graphic designs, videography, and also some small subcontractors can also get more jobs, building materials. I think this rule is going to help in boosting the real estate capacity to accommodate more supply and demand, to accommodate more transactions and flow of cash into the local real estate market. So overall, this is a long-awaited. I mean, we've been in discussion with the authorities. We've been in discussion with some of the senior officials in the government sector for the last 3 to 5 years, talking about this and how to plan it and how to look into it from different aspects. And for sure, it will have to develop and to add value as we go into the and as we dive more into this user-friendly beneficiary. You never know, maybe by time it will convert from a user-friendly to a freehold. Everything is possible, and everything will be built on very solid data mining, and also reaction of the market. So the more we see good reaction, I think the more this will be looked at carefully by the authorities.
You know, Mr. Fahad, we're still in the middle of the pandemic, not just in the Sultanate, but globally. In fact, some of the countries are actually facing the second wave, but alhamdulillah, right now in the Sultanate, things seems to be still under control. So during this time period, do you think people would be a little skeptical about investing into property? Do you recommend them? Do you suggest them? Or what is your opinion in terms of people who would like to invest during this time period?
Well, the pandemic is something which is happening globally. We cannot deny it. We have to live with it, and we have to accept it, and we have to work together and join hands between the people, the health sector, and all the other sectors to reduce the effects and mitigate all the issues or the negative factors that this pandemic can bring into the economy. With regards to real estate, I think real estate is something that it's in continuous need. It's like food and beverage. People cannot live without having to eat or drink. Also, at the same time, people cannot live without having a shelter. Therefore, investing in real estate is something. It's a long-term investment. It's not a short-term thing. It could be a lifetime decision. It could be a one-time practice in a normal human lifetime. So I don't think that real estate is going to stop, or the demand on real estate is going to vanish. Yes, the demand might be less, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to vanish. And if we come to Oman and look into the Sultanate of Oman as an investment destination for real estate, I think the yielding percentages in Oman is really good compared to many other places around the globe. You can recoup your investment in a very good time frame, and the rules and regulations are in continuous improvement, and the government is also adapting to change, and also looking at ways. We have, Vision 2040 for Oman. It is a very big vision, and it is purely, or major part of it is falling under the diversification of the economy, of the income. And I think that all will lead to a proper and stronger purchasing power, where demand will increase, and it will always be healthy for the real estate market future in Oman.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Fahad, for joining us in today's episode. It was indeed a very informative session with them, and I hope all the viewers have got all the answers that they were looking forward to.
Thank you very much, and I hope I was able to deliver some of the important factors that any real estate seeker should really look into carefully before entering into any purchase in the market.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fahad. We'll definitely be visiting Boulevard Tower next week to show what you spoke about the property and how people can actually go about purchasing it.
You're most welcome, and hope to see you soon, Madiha.
Thank you so much once again.
Bye-bye.
It's time for us to take a quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we have more updates your way from our international desk.
Oman's largest online supermarket, now has no minimum order limit. From grocery to household items, Rafiq has everything that you want. Enjoy worry-free shopping with over 8,000 products to choose from and get it delivered straight to your doorstep. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Outline. Now from International Desk. Iran's COVID-19 cases have increased lately and has almost on Sunday reached 568,896 with an addition of 6,191 new infections. Meanwhile, an Iraqi health official said that the country is witnessing a decrease in daily new coronavirus infections during the last month. The pandemic has so far claimed 32,616 lives in Iran, the hardest hit country in the Middle East region, up by 296 in the past 24 hours. A total of 455,054 coronavirus patients have recovered, with 4,969 still in critical condition. In the meantime, 2,554 new coronavirus cases were detected in Iraq during the past 24 hours, bringing the total nationwide infections to 451,707. The death toll from the coronavirus in Iraq rose to 10,623 after 55 fatalities were added, while the total recoveries increased to 381,349 as 3,140 more patients recovered. Iraq is witnessing a decrease in coronavirus infections during the last month, unlike the past few months in which the number of daily infections exceeded 5,000. Jawad Al-Musawi, a member of the Parliamentary Health Committee, said in a statement. However, Al-Musawi expressed his fear of a possible second wave of a high number of infections within the next 2 months and expected reimposing restriction measures. Now, South Korea's health authorities decided on Monday to continue its flu vaccination program across the country as the suspected deaths after getting flu shots were found to have very little link to inoculation. The Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, known as KDCA, said in a statement that there was a very little possibility for any link between flu vaccination and deaths, noting that it will continue its nationwide flu vaccination program. A total of 59 people, mostly those in their 70s and 80s, have died after receiving flu shots this year. The number of those who have reported side effects was 1,231. An investigation into 46 deaths found no direct link to the inoculation, while a probe into the remaining 13 deaths was underway. Out of the total deaths, no case has been relevant to anaphylaxis shocks or a fatal allergic reaction from the vaccination. The government has been pushing for a free flu inoculation program to vaccinate about 19 million people, including the elderly people and teenagers. Out of the combined 14.68 million flu shots the South Korean people have received this year, 9.68 million flu shots have been given under the free vaccination program. The program came as a part of efforts to prevent the so-called twindemic of coronavirus and flu during the winter influenza season. Once again, it's time for a quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we have more updates coming your way from our sports desk.
Oman's largest online supermarket, now has no minimum order limit. From grocery to household items, Rafiq has everything that you want. Enjoy worry-free shopping with over 8,000 products to choose from and get it delivered straight to your doorstep. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Outline. Now from a sports desk. On the back of Mandeep Singh and Chris Gale's 50s, Kings 11 Punjab beat Kolkata Knight Riders by 8 wickets to register their 5th straight win. Kings 11 Punjab moved to 4th in the standings after a comprehensive 8-wicket victory against Kolkata Knight Riders at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium on Monday. In the first innings, Kings 11 Punjab maintained perfect line and length as they restricted Kolkata Knight Riders on 149 runs with 9 wickets down in 20 overs. Shubham Gill emerged as the leading scorer for Kolkata Knight Riders with a 57-run knock. Meanwhile, Mohammad Shami was the standout bowler, picking 3 wickets in his 4-over quota. During the chase, Mandeep Singh and Chris Gale stitched a 102nd wicket partnership, which guided Kings 11 Punjab to 150 runs with just 2 wickets down in 18.5 overs. Mercedes Lewis Hamilton has become the most successful driver in terms of victories in Formula One history after a dominant display at the Portuguese Grand Prix saw him claim his 92nd victory from teammate Valtteri Bottas and the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. Having started from pole position, Hamilton's victory looked in serious doubt after a dramatic opening lap that saw him get passed by both Bottas and the McLaren of Carlos Sainz, Sainz then taking the lead from Bottas a lap later as the Mercedes pair struggled to get their medium tires fired up. Once up to temperature though, the Mercedes quickly repassed Sainz, while Hamilton was then able to outdrag Bottas on lap 20th of 66 to take a lead that he would only briefly relinquish in its pits as he closed out a victory that moves him ahead of Michael Schumacher in all-time wins list. The 2020 Portuguese Grand Prix will be remembered most of all for the moment where Lewis Hamilton became Formula One's most successful driver of all time in terms of victories, a mighty record that came after yet another mighty drive from the 6-time world champion. With this, we have come to the end of the episode for today, but stay tuned as we will be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m. with more latest updates and news your way. Keep watching TTV.
You've just heard the live feed from the TTV studios on TFM 95.4. Let's talk.